Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that everything you believe about yourself, your abilities, your potential, your limits, is wrong. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is not your circumstances, not your talent, but your mentality? Today, I'm going to show you 5 ways to reshape your mind, to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and to build a mindset so strong that no setback, no doubt, and no fear can stop you. What I'm about to share could change the way you think, act, and ultimately, the life you live. When we talk about mentality, we are not talking about motivation as a feeling. We are talking about a lens, a way of seeing the world, the people in it, and your role within it. In the style of Simon Sinek, everything begins with why, because mentality is not about what you do on your best days. It is about why you keep going on your worst ones. Most people want better results, but very few are willing to question the beliefs that created their current reality. If you want to improve your mentality, you don't start by changing your actions. You start by changing the story you tell yourself about who you are and what this moment means. The first shift is learning to take responsibility without taking blame. Responsibility means accepting that you have control over your next move, even if you didn't control how you got here. Blame keeps you stuck in the past, pointing fingers at circumstances, people, or luck. Responsibility pulls you forward. When something goes wrong, ask not who caused this, but what can I do next? That question alone changes your posture. It moves you from victim to participant. Strong mentality is not about pretending things are fair. It is about deciding that fairness is not required for progress. The second way to improve your mentality is to practice patience with purpose. Many people wait, but they wait passively. They wait for confidence, for clarity, for permission. Purposeful patience is different. It is the discipline to keep showing up even when the results are invisible. Every meaningful journey includes a phase where effort and reward are out of sync. This is where most people quit, not because they are incapable, but because they misinterpret silence as failure. A strong mentality understands that growth often happens underground before it ever shows above the surface. The third shift is learning to separate identity from outcome. When people fail, they don't just say this didn't work. They say I am not good enough. That belief is heavy and it shapes every future decision. Improving your mentality means understanding that results are data, not definitions. You are not your last mistake, your last loss, or your last rejection. Those are moments, not identities. When you treat outcomes as feedback instead of verdicts, you stay curious instead of defensive, and curiosity is where improvement lives. The fourth way to strengthen your mentality is to choose long-term integrity over short-term comfort. Comfort feels good now, but it often costs you later. Integrity can feel uncomfortable now, but it pays you back over time. This shows up in small choices, doing the work when no one is watching, telling the truth when a lie would be easier, staying consistent when motivation fades. Mental strength is built in these quiet moments. Over time, your brain begins to trust you, and when you trust yourself, confidence becomes natural rather than forced. The fifth shift is learning to surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking, not just support your feelings. Encouragement matters, but growth requires friction. If everyone around you agrees with you, your mentality will stay exactly where it is. Strong-minded people seek environments where ideas are tested, where feedback is honest, and where standards are high. This is not about negativity, it is about respect. When someone believes in your potential enough to challenge you, they are investing in your future, not criticizing your present. Improving your mentality is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. Some days you will get it right. Other days you won't. What matters is not perfection, but awareness. Awareness of the thoughts you repeat, the excuses you accept, and the fears you obey. Every time you choose responsibility over blame, patience over panic, learning over labeling, integrity over comfort, and growth over approval, you are quietly reshaping how you see yourself and what you believe is possible, and that belief begins to influence how you show up, how you speak, how you decide, and how you move forward when the path is unclear and the outcome is still unfolding. Because when belief shifts, behavior follows, and when behavior follows, results eventually catch up. Most people underestimate how powerful this internal shift really is. They think mentality is about hype or positive thinking, but it is actually about alignment. Alignment between what you say matters and what you are willing to do when no one is rewarding you for it. A strong mentality is built when your actions quietly agree with your values, even when the world is loud with distractions. One of the most overlooked aspects of mentality is how you speak to yourself when things don't go as planned. The voice in your head becomes the leader you follow. If that voice is harsh, impatient, or fearful, your actions will reflect that leadership. But when that voice is calm, honest, and disciplined, you begin to move with intention instead of impulse. This doesn't mean ignoring doubt, it means acknowledging doubt without allowing it to make decisions for you. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to let fear be in charge. Another critical shift happens when you stop asking for certainty before you act. Many people delay progress because they want guarantees. They want to know it will work, that they won't fail, that they won't look foolish. But clarity rarely comes before action. It comes from action. A resilient mentality understands that confidence is not a prerequisite for movement. It is a result of movement. You take the step, then the ground appears beneath your feet. Waiting for certainty is often just fear wearing a logical disguise. Improving your mentality also means redefining what success looks like on a daily basis. If success is only winning, only achieving, only being praised, then most days will feel like failure. But when success is defined as effort, learning, and consistency, every day offers a chance to win. This shift reduces anxiety and increases momentum. You stop chasing outcomes and start building habits. And habits, repeated long enough, outperform talent, luck, and intensity. There will be moments when you feel behind, when others seem to be moving faster, achieving more, living better lives. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to weaken your mentality. It steals focus and replaces it with doubt. The truth is, you don't know their full story and they don't know yours. Progress is personal. When you measure yourself against your own values and yesterday's effort, you regain control of your mindset. You move from competition to commitment. A strong mentality also accepts discomfort as part of the process. Growth rarely feels good in the moment. It feels uncertain, awkward, and slow. If you expect growth to feel comfortable, you will misinterpret discomfort as a sign to stop. But discomfort is often a signal that you are stretching beyond who you were yesterday. When you reframe discomfort as evidence of progress, you stop running from it and start using it. Consistency plays a bigger role in mentality than inspiration ever will. Inspiration is temporary, consistency is dependable. The days you don't feel like showing up matter more than the days you do. Every time you act in alignment with your goals despite low energy or low motivation, you reinforce an identity. You become someone who can be relied upon by yourself, and self-trust is one of the strongest psychological advantages you can build. Mentality is also shaped by what you consume, not just food but information, conversations, and environments. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, outrage, and distraction, it becomes harder to think clearly and act intentionally. Protecting your mentality sometimes means setting boundaries, limiting access, and choosing silence over noise. This is not isolation, it is focus, and focus is a form of self-respect. There will be setbacks, there will be days when you question everything. Those moments are not signs that something is wrong, they are signs that you care. The difference between those who grow and those who quit is not the absence of doubt, but the decision to continue despite it. Each time you move forward without full confidence, you strengthen your ability to do so again. Over time, these small shifts compound. Responsibility sharpens your agency. Patience deepens your resilience. Detaching identity from outcomes protects your confidence. Integrity builds trust within yourself. Surrounding yourself with the right people expands your perspective. None of this happens overnight, but slowly, almost quietly, your mentality becomes steadier, clearer, and more grounded. You stop reacting to life and start responding to it, and that response shapes not just what you achieve, but who you become in the process, and that becoming is where the real work happens. Because mentality is not something you switch on when life is convenient. It is something you practice when life is unclear, uncomfortable, and demanding more from you than you feel ready to give. This is where most people discover whether their beliefs are borrowed or built. Borrowed beliefs collapse under pressure. Built beliefs adapt, adjust, and endure. One of the clearest indicators of a strong mentality is how you respond to moments you didn't plan for. Unexpected setbacks, delays, criticism, or silence have a way of revealing what you truly believe about yourself. If your first reaction is to withdraw, to doubt your worth, or to abandon the effort entirely, then the work is not just external. It is internal. A resilient mentality pauses before reacting. It asks better questions. What is this moment teaching me? What skill is this situation demanding that I haven't fully developed yet? Questions like these turn obstacles into instructors rather than enemies. Another quiet discipline of mentality is learning to manage energy, not just time. Time will move whether you manage it or not. Energy requires intention. When you constantly push without rest, reflection, or recalibration, your mentality begins to fray. Strength is not built by endless strain, it is built by cycles of effort and recovery. Knowing when to push and when to pause is not weakness. It is wisdom, and wisdom keeps you in the game longer than force ever will. Improving your mentality also means letting go of the need to be understood by everyone. Approval is seductive, but it is unstable. When your confidence depends on other people's agreement, your direction will change with every opinion. A grounded mentality is anchored internally. It listens, considers, and then decides. Not every voice deserves equal weight. Some people comment from experience, others comment from fear. Learning the difference protects your focus and preserves your momentum. There is also power in learning to finish what you start. Not everything needs to be perfect, but finishing builds credibility with yourself. Each completed task, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you are capable of follow-through. Over time, this belief compounds. You stop questioning whether you can handle hard things because you have evidence that you already have. Mental strength grows when promises made to yourself are promises kept. Failure, when it comes, should be treated with precision, not emotion. Emotional reactions blur lessons. Precision sharpens them. Instead of asking why it hurts, ask why it happened. Break the experience down. What assumptions were wrong? What preparation was missing? What decision needs to change next time? This approach removes drama and replaces it with direction. A disciplined mentality doesn't romanticize failure, but it also doesn't run from it. It studies it. Another important shift occurs when you stop waiting to feel ready. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. Most meaningful opportunities arrive slightly before you feel prepared. That tension is intentional. It stretches you into the person you need to become. If you wait until you feel fully confident, you will often arrive late. Acting while still learning is not reckless. It is how growth accelerates. Mentality is also reinforced through service. When your world becomes too small, problems feel bigger than they are. Contributing to something beyond yourself restores perspective. It reminds you that your effort matters, that your presence can create value, and that your struggles are part of a larger human experience. This doesn't diminish your challenges, it contextualizes them, and perspective is a powerful stabilizer. There will be seasons when progress feels slow and invisible. In those moments, discipline must replace enthusiasm. This is where routines matter. Routines reduce decision fatigue. They carry you forward when emotions fluctuate. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. A strong mentality invests in systems that make the right actions easier to repeat. As your mentality matures, you begin to notice a shift in how you define control. You stop trying to control outcomes and start controlling effort, preparation and attitude. This shift reduces anxiety and increases effectiveness. You focus on what is within reach and release what is not. This doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees progress, and progress, sustained over time, changes trajectories. Eventually, you reach a point where challenges no longer feel personal. They feel practical. Problems become puzzles. Resistance becomes a signal. You move with less urgency and more clarity, not because life is easier, but because you are steadier. The work continues, the standards remain high, and the questions keep evolving as you do, shaping each next step with intention, awareness, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can adapt, learn, and move forward again even when the path ahead is still demanding more growth, more patience, and more trust in the process that is still unfolding. And in that unfolding, you discover the real measure of strength, the ability to keep showing up when nothing is guaranteed. This is where mentality transforms from a concept into a lived experience. It is no longer just about thinking differently. It is about acting consistently, consciously, and with integrity, even when circumstances feel stacked against you. Every day, life presents you with choices, some obvious, some subtle, some uncomfortable, and your mentality determines which of those choices shape your future rather than your past. One of the most crucial elements of a powerful mentality is learning to reframe setbacks as information. Most people treat obstacles like roadblocks. They stop, turn around, and hope the path will magically clear. But a strong mentality sees obstacles as signposts. Each challenge tells you something about what is missing, what needs attention, and what can be improved. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" The difference in phrasing alone shifts your brain from resistance to learning. And learning creates momentum, even in moments of struggle. Equally important is cultivating mental clarity through reflection. Life moves fast, and without regular reflection, you drift. Reflection is not just thinking about what happened. It is analyzing it, questioning assumptions, and identifying patterns. When you take the time to reflect, you turn experience into insight. You start to recognize which behaviors serve you and which sabotage you. You begin to understand not just what you do, but why you do it, and understanding is the foundation of intentional action. A strong mentality also requires embracing discomfort as a sign of growth. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you are safe, that you are enough, that there is no need to push further. Growth rarely lives in comfort. It lives in tension, in uncertainty, in the moments when you feel unsteady yet continue moving. When you accept discomfort as a necessary companion on the path to improvement, fear loses its grip. You begin to see discomfort not as an enemy, but as a guidepost pointing toward what matters most. Another layer of mentality is how you handle influence and persuasion, both giving and receiving it. People with strong minds do not blindly accept every idea that comes their way, nor do they rigidly reject feedback. Instead, they filter information through a lens of alignment with values, goals, and evidence. They ask, "Does this make sense for me? Does this serve the purpose I am pursuing?" The same principle applies to influence. The strongest people do not coerce. They inspire, they challenge, they elevate others through example rather than through force. Resilience, a cornerstone of mentality, is built in repetition. It is not an abstract trait that appears spontaneously. It grows each time you choose to move forward, despite doubt, hesitation, or fear. Every small decision to act, every choice to trust yourself, every commitment kept quietly strengthens the muscle of resilience. Over time, those micro decisions accumulate, and what once seemed impossible begins to feel achievable. This is why mentality is as much about consistency as it is about courage. Equally transformative is learning to embrace ambiguity. Life rarely provides perfect clarity. Waiting for absolute certainty before you act guarantees inaction. Strong-minded people act in uncertainty. They make decisions with the information they have, adjust along the way, and view flexibility as a strength rather than a compromise. Ambiguity, once feared, becomes a playground for creativity, problem solving, and growth. Your mentality becomes defined less by external conditions and more by your internal capacity to navigate them. Gratitude is another subtle but powerful force in shaping mentality. Recognizing what you already have, acknowledging small wins, and valuing effort over outcomes rewires your brain toward positivity and possibility. Gratitude does not ignore challenges, it contextualizes them. It allows you to see progress even when results are delayed. When gratitude is integrated into your daily practice, patience becomes easier, focus sharper, and decisions more grounded. The environment you cultivate, both physical and mental, plays a major role in strengthening your mentality. Surround yourself with people who reflect the qualities you aspire to. Seek spaces that encourage focus, growth, and integrity. Limit exposure to negativity, distraction, and cynicism. Mentality is not just about the internal dialogue. It is about what you let in and what you allow to shape your mind. Curating your environment intentionally is an act of self-leadership. Finally, mentality grows in the alignment of vision and action. A strong mindset does not float aimlessly, it is tethered to purpose. Every action is an opportunity to reinforce identity. Every choice is a reflection of what you believe is possible. When your vision is clear and your actions consistently support it, momentum becomes inevitable. You move with confidence, not arrogance, with persistence, not impatience, and with focus, not distraction. Your mentality becomes both the compass and the engine, guiding every decision, every response, every step forward into uncharted territory with the quiet certainty that you are capable of navigating it, learning from it, and ultimately shaping it in a way that reflects not just who you are today, but who you are becoming through the deliberate practice of thought, choice, and action.